So we all face curveballs in our life, right? Life is made up of lots of different curveballs. And what is a curveball? A curveball is something where you kind of are on a journey from A to B, and then you just get taken off of that line, off of that mission, off of that journey, and something happens that almost gets in the way of you achieving B. That could be physical, it could be mental, it could be emotional. And the thing is, we get so worked up when we get curveballs that we don't lead ourselves through them, and we allow to manifest and get emotional about all of the curveballs that are happening, and that slows your progress down. So you never get to where you want to be because you're too busy being reactive and emotional about the things that are curveballs that are getting in the way. So here's the story. Last Thursday, I was on a call to a friend at my community office, and we were talking about the kids, and I suddenly realised the time, and I wanted to get home on time, and I had to get the 4 o'clock train to then go home and watch my daughter swim. So I clambered all of my stuff into my bag, rapido, did a final check of the desk, sprinted out of that community office into the station, hitting top speed of 60 miles an hour as I was running. 20 metres away from the train, it felt like someone had sniped my calf. I was like, wow, my calf has just given up on me there, right? Felt the pull on it all day, didn't really think anything of it. And what I realised is that I got an old football injury that keeps reoccurring in my calf. And this was a major blow because I knew I couldn't run on it. I had a treatment the next day, booked in already, so we managed to do some work on it, and it felt so much better on the Friday. I then went to jiu-jitsu because you don't do an awful lot on your, like, with your calf, and I was grappling a big lad, stepped back, and it just popped. So much so I just ended up falling on the floor, and I could barely walk. So obviously this is a disaster. You could consider this as a disaster or a curveball, because in April I'm due to be running a 50 miler, and I really wanted to do this 50 miler. I really wanted to connect with something that was kind of a big deal for me, to be able to take away a lot of the stress that we have in life, professionally, personally. It was just my escape, right? I wanted to go up into the hills and start running. And October I started running, get myself back into it. The whole of November I was ill, half of December I was ill, half of January I was ill. So training has been like the poorest it's ever been. This has been the worst build-up. Now realistically I can't walk, realistically I can't run for another 2-3 weeks, which only leaves me around 3 weeks before my 50 miler. And we're not giving up on it yet. And when we come to dealing with curveballs, I've had so many curveballs just this year that I can count. And I'm sure you have as well, right? Lots of kind of things affecting our journey, getting in the way. And the problem is that when we face those curveballs, we fall into a state of pity. We make bad decisions. We get over emotional. We don't progress. We stall. And we just completely become very reactive. Now, one of the things that we're trying to teach people within our movement, which is our educational membership for men, is that if we're going to perform at a higher level when it comes to self-leadership, we have to be able to look at these things and go, right, these are the 4 things that I need to consider. What's the positive? Okay. How do I make a decision that moves me forward? Okay. How do I not bury my head under the stone? What's the next thing that has to happen? Instead of stalling in this circle where we're consuming ourselves in it, we just go, okay, this is the situation. This is the decision that I have to make, and this is how I'm going to lead myself forwards. Because we don't have time to feel emotional. There are too many curveballs. If you get too many curveballs and you stay in an emotional state, you plateau. You don't progress. You don't move forwards. So my plan is rest the calf for 2 to 3 weeks. I've only got 4 weeks to train for a 50 miler. I'm going to do what miles I can. I'm going to stress test it by doing a marathon. If I can do the marathon, I'm going to show up to the 50 miler. If I can't, I'll defer it and we'll do it next year. Boom. And we don't get consumed in it. I used to always be like, oh God, why is it always happening to me? Part of your progression is being able to deal with the knockbacks. There is no guaranteed path to success from A to B. You go from A to C to D to E to F to adapt and overcome, and then you finally get back to your B, right? So it's about adapting and overcoming and having that mentality, and that's something I learned really well within the Royal Marines. Is that Get ambushed, deal with the ambushed. Whatever the ambushes are in life, you have to have the mindset that you go and attack them harder. And you come back harder. If something's not going your way, go harder. I did a video a couple of days ago of can you go the extra mile? And that's in theory what we're talking about, is can you go the extra mile when you've hit the curveball, when it hasn't gone your way, when you haven't done what you said you were going to do because you've kind of got caught up in your state of pity because of the curveball. Ultimately, guys, curveballs are going to happen. You're going to have to be fucking stronger than the curveballs. Overcome them, keep moving forwards, thinking about the bigger picture, or sit there sulking like a little boy. Either way, no one gives a fuck. Just get on with it.